All right, so prison as a life option. So that means you believe it is dependable and reliable. If you didn't believe it was dependable and reliable and you couldn't rely on it, you wouldn't go back. Just as clear as that, you wouldn't go back. There would be no need to go back. Think about the people, uh, think about your family dynamic. You know you can't depend upon them. So you try to stay away from them. Every time you turn around, you try to need something or get something from them. They punk you. They have you do something. They provoke you to anger. They might even go so far as to say they don't want you. They kind of have their foot on your neck. They do everything that they can to show you that they don't want you there. And so then you try to stay away from there. You don't go back unless you get to a point where you're doing better in life. They find out and then they pull at you emotionally and psychologically and financially to give them something, uh, to give them what they want. But as soon as they get what they want from you, they drop you. They kick you away. They set you up. They do everything they can to get you out of their lives. A lot of times that has something to do with instruction. They don't want to receive instruction from you. They don't want to receive, because a lot of times people who have struggled in this area of going to prison, going back to prison, it has a lot to do with rejection, and that they were actually good students in school, and they tutored. They do it. They did. They tended to do the right things, right? And people mocked them for that. People made them feel bad, peer pressured, and then they found themselves people pleasing, right, to make them happy. And so the very same dynamic that you struggled with on the outside of dealing with people who rejected you, you find still on the inside of prison. You don't run away from it. You, going to prison is not an opportunity for you to run away from your family, to run away from your friendships and your peer relationships and bullies and things like that. You just run from them and run smack into them and other people who are in the prison. You're going to find a bully. You're going to always find a bully that you have to stand up to. You're going to always find like a mother figure, type person. You're going to always find a father figure. You're going to always establish soul tie relationships with the men in terms of brotherly type relationships. If you were molested when you were younger as a man, you're going to find that same type of spirit in someone else in that prison. That person is going to stalk you and harass you and pull at you and then corner you and then rape you. And so you're not going to get away from something that you struggle with on the outside just because you go to prison. So then when you find that um, you are using prison to get away from something, it becomes a life option. It becomes something that you can depend on. But at least with prison, you may not be you may not be messed with all the time. It may be just certain times, right? But if you were still living in a house with your mother and her new boyfriend was messing with you, that was a consistent thing that he did all the time. And so then you struggle with that, and it follows you because it's like a monkey on your back. It's a spirit that keeps pulling at you, and it's really demonic, right? It's a demon that keeps pulling at you, and you don't know how to let go of it. You don't know how to leave it alone. And then you begin to engage in activity, the same activity that was done to you. Sometimes it can be predatory, sometimes it can be pedophilia, sometimes it can be homosexual types of relationships, but you begin to engage in what you were exposed to. So then that becomes a life option. Now you are adopting a soul tie towards that. You're not only adopting a soul tie to people's attitudes towards you and how that forms many of your decisions. You are adopting soul ties to the people who hurt you, who bullied you, the people that you had to people please. And so those soul tie connections become dependable and reliable. You know your mother is going to say something stupid. You know your brother is going to say something stupid. You know this romantic partner is going to say something stupid. And all those people who say something stupid end up triggering something in you that makes you run, that an emotional runner. And every time you emotionally run, you end up in prison versus going to get your own place and doing something on your own. You end up back. So then emotional running becomes the life option that you choose. It's the only life option that you feel like you have. And so you choose it and let it guide many of the decisions that you make concerning the people you have to deal with. But when you're thinking about prison as a life option, at some point in your heart, you got to get tired. You got to get tired. You got to, it's something in having to return and go back and forth in a situation that has to make you mad, that has to make you upset, because you can't continue to use it as a dependable, reliable um, situation unless you are going to be a lifer, unless you're going to be on death row. But if you sit there and you look around and you think about the environment, the people around you, the cage you're sitting in, instead of trying to survive it, begin to assess it. You're surviving it because you have no other choice but to survive it. But the goal now is to think about it and assess the situation as a way to use it as fuel to overcome it. And overcoming it is not going back and forth. That once you're out, you stay out. That needs to be your life option. So, prison as a life option. All right. So now that you've gotten to the end, this is you can visit, subscribe, and follow. My website is reginayfavors.com. Then you can visit my YouTube channel, youtube.com// at Regina Y Favors. And then I have an author store, reginayfavorsauthor.com. I also have other types of websites as well. So thank you very much for listening.